Yeah, it is a concern due to the fact that the whole world literally was following the story. It was absolutely everywhere, and everybody got involved, assisting either by praying or having an eye out, or whichever way they could assist, including the authorities, including private investigators, etc., etc. So the nation obviously wants an answer. I'm sure the world wants an answer. What has happened here, and what is going to happen now that the kids were returned, and is there going to be justice in line for what has happened here? This kind of crime, it's a once off. Hopefully, it never happens again. 4 children taken. That seldom happens. It's usually an extreme businessman and a very rich businessman that's taken. But in this instance, 4 children were taken. And that, as I've said, shook the world. So to suddenly disappear like that and to interdict the police as not to be involved with the police or cooperate with the police leaves a sour taste in the mouths of everybody, including the authorities, which is understandable. However, it is very important to listen carefully to what I now say.
Yeah.
The family might have decided to leave. There are several scenarios because they feel that the authorities couldn't do anything and cannot do anything further. Or secondly, they have been so splashed in the media everywhere that they don't have privacy. Their kids has been on every telephone pole being as missing kids or being kidnapped, in any newspaper, on all the radios, all the TV stations, everywhere. So their kids have this scenario wherever they find themselves, they will be influenced by other people, and that might have a very serious effect on the kids. The same with the family. The Motti families in South Africa is very well known. They're very rich and they're very intertwined. So they might have decided, due to the fact that they know where they go, wherever they are, they will always be remembered for that. And they might be bothered by that, and they would never have their family as a unit with privacy, and they've decided, this is it, we're going. The third alternative there is that something underhanded might have happened, and that there was some form of foul play along the way, not only from one side, but from both sides. But listen carefully what I'm saying. This is speculation, and this is the assumptions and the deductions that the public and the police would make. That's why the police has said that they will take drastic action steps if the family does not reconsider and give their full cooperation by clying them on for defeating the ends of justice, or not cooperating with a highly serious violent crime case in South Africa. The police has also gone out of their way, and I compliment them for this, by creating a very serious task force that will nationwide and obviously work cross borders as well to identify kidnappers and kidnapping syndicates on all levels. This is a high-profile kidnapping on a very high level where multi-millions of rands are involved. You get several levels of kidnapping. This is the highest form. And they have a specialized unit now that's going to do everything in their way to identify this crime, solve this crime, and prevent this crime, actually eradicate this crime. And the only way that that could be done is if all these are firstly reported. They say that the statistics say that kidnappings in South Africa has increased with about 60%. I would say it's more. I would say it could be up till 70% because there are some kidnappings that are never reported. Remember who the kidnappers are. They will threaten and intimidate immensely in order for people not to inform on them or give information of them or report them to the authorities. So we have those 3 scenarios, which is a concern, where everybody that listens to this or read all the newspapers or hear what's said on radio and all the other TV interviews will make an assumption or a deduction to what they think would be situation, and that cannot be the factual answer. That is your opinion, and please do keep it for yourself. We cannot present any facts at all. There is no facts here. They have left. The fact is they have interdicted the police. We have no fact why they have left. There's no evidence of any of these speculations. Taking consideration, just to refresh your memory, this crime was a professional crime committed, leaving no and none information behind or evidence. No forensic evidence, no CCTV footage, no witnesses, no DNA, nothing. There was nothing left behind for the police investigators or authorities to go on. Secondly, when the kids were returned, we don't know if any information was retrieved from the kids. What should have been retrieved in a situation like this is the kids, when returned, should have been immediately, all their information should have been taken, what they have to give, all the DNA and crime kits should have been taken from their bodies. In other words, their complete bodies should have a crime kit been taken off and kept for an investigation up ahead of each one of them. And then a specialist investigator from the police that knows how to work with trauma and with serious violent crimes would then involve themselves with a family up till such a stage that the kids will give their full cooperation. I apologize.
Okay.
Will then give their full cooperation with the authorities. It would have been very important that everything gathered from the children and working with the police in that time, building a trust, building a relationship, and then eventually when the kids and the family is ready, then giving proper statements. That hasn't happened. So if the family, I've said it on all the other TV stations as well, and I have to say it here as well, if the family is watching this video, I'm urging them to give their full cooperation. There's other avenues that could be followed and should have been followed before just leaving the country. For example, the family could have said to the police, listen, we don't trust you, or we don't trust this government, we don't trust South Africa anymore, we've got no privacy anymore, we've been plastered, splattered all over on every poll and in every news outlet. We're going to go. We're going to totally go. We cannot live with it here. It brings us bad memories, etc., etc. But we want to give you everything we've got, so let's get it to you via, we trust this policeman or this private investigator or this doctor or this psychologist. And they could have taken avenues through other institutions or people in order to get the information to the police. And that wasn't done, and that's a concern to me. The interdict against the police is also a concern to me. And this is why this case can be to the advantage of the criminal, because the criminal sees once again, the syndicates, the kidnappers sees once again, they can do this crime, they can get away with it. Now, once again, listen carefully. When kidnappers return a person, it's usually a very rich businessman. I'm only talking about the one level of kidnapping, high profile kidnappings. So you can think for you, and in South Africa already by this time, has established a fear, such a fear, and instilled such a fear in people that those threats aren't taken lightly, extremely serious. So this could also, as I've said, played a very, very big role.
All right, no problem.
But be that as it may, the kidnappers, if they're not dealt with in this case, for instance, or in other cases, crime begins, the family could come forward and give maximum. The possibilities is always there that it could be identified with some identification, who they were, where they were, more or less, and what happened, were they spoken to, what DNA or forensic TA will be investigated. You will track and trace vehicles that came in and out. You will check for tracks on the floor, anything that's maybe left behind, cigarette butts, etc., etc. I'm using some examples as to say a drop-off is not just take the kids and just take everything off their bodies and get everything from them. It's also the area that can play a massive role and give evidence and information. So I fully support the police here. Totally 100%, and I'm elated that they have this unit, and we will work with them very closely and assist them everywhere. But once again, we, the police, other authorities can do nothing unless we have cooperation from the public and of those that have been kidnapped. So it's my urge to any situation pertaining kidnapping that the parties must come to the table and give as much cooperation to the authorities as possible. There's one scenario that I do not like to mention, but I have to, which has also come up, and we've seen it in one or two or a few previous kidnappings, and that is where there's a staged kidnapping. I'm not saying, listen carefully here. I'm not saying any of the scenarios that I've mentioned is the case. It can be a combination of 1, 2, or 3, or it can be in a combination of 1 and 2 or 3 or 4. But be that as it may, there has been staged kidnappings in order to launder money out of South Africa. In other words, multi-millions of monies have been spent overseas in order to get the businessmen released, and then in the same time, the people depart from South Africa. I'm not saying this is the case here once again, but I'm saying these are the scenarios that needs to be investigated. So this, once again, leaves an assumption amongst the people, the authorities in our country, that is there foul play on both sides, or have the family just left because of fear and because of the situation in South Africa and not trusting the police and so forth. So our hearts go out to them, and we will still support them, and we hope they make the right decision. The Minister of Police, Bheki Cele, has said that he is going to give them time up to a point, and if they do not, then they're going to take the case further, and rightfully so. It is a crime if you've been involved in a crime and you're not reported. It is a crime if you've been if a crime has been committed against you and you do not give your full statement and your cooperation to the police, it is a crime. We have many a times said in the past how corrupt the police is. It's not all of them. There are good policemen, and there are policemen that really goes out of their way to make a difference, and these ones are these ones that were these specialized units. And they've realized since, I mean, everybody out there, think for yourself, if your child was taken right now, it is your biggest asset. You will do everything in your life to get that child back. So once you have that child back, you would like to prevent that this happen again to another person's child. How do you prevent this? By working with the authorities. And there's always avenues. If you don't trust the police, I understand that. It's a big problem. There's serious corruption everywhere, all over the world, especially in South Africa. But there are other avenues that you can follow. You can involve quite a few other specialists to assist and to make sure that all evidence and information follows the correct routes and channels in order to being used by authorities to catch these criminals. Otherwise, let me close with this by saying, if crime is not dealt with severely on a zero tolerance basis, I can tell you now, crime will escalate. And kidnappings has so far is where the most money is involved.
Absolutely, Mike. You know, you've put it very, very boldly and, you know, precise and straight to the point. So you've covered a lot of tracks. I wanted to say now that this police were interdicted, and I saw a statement by the police saying that they are continuing with this investigation. So with the situation as it is right now, what does that mean to this investigation that the police saying that they are going through with it?
Well, the police will reach out to the family, and obviously, I've been many a times on TV now as well, and I've been on radio and in the newspapers about this. And there are other private investigators and other authorities that who really like to see these criminals be brought to book. I mean, as I say again, this is not one child taken, this is 4.
Yes.
And you saw how it was, the news was worldwide.
Yes.
So the police is definitely going to try their utmost to convince the family to do so, and I do the same. And all the others in South Africa that might deal with them would also try and do the same. But the police investigations will in any way carry on because there's many kidnappings, and there has been many kidnappings. And one of the first things that a specialized unit will do, it will look at the history of a specific crime, where it's been committed and to whom it's been committed. As I've said, you've got your levels of kidnapping. The highest form of, the highest level of kidnapping is where an extreme rich businessman is taken, and the kidnappers demand anything from 5 to 20 to 180 to 500 million, whatever. The kidnappers do a thorough investigation before they take somebody. They know exactly what you have in the bank, and they pick up all this clever information from your social media. So I want to give a warning there again. Do not splash your finances. Don't do the Kardashian move. Show your bling, show your cars, show your show what you've got in your house, your holiday homes, what you have in the bank. Don't flash. Don't even communicate on social media unless it's absolutely necessary. The future is cybercrime, and the criminal knows that. If the criminal has your phone or your phone contact, he has everything of you. Most people have too much stuff on their phone. As a matter of fact, they shouldn't have stuff, the following stuff that I've just mentioned, on their phone. And if a criminal can get a hold of your phone or the information of on your phone, he has everything. As a matter of fact, if he has your phone, he even have your fingerprints on the phone, and your DNA, your saliva is in the speaker. So the phone will most probably have your banking details, everything about your wife, your girlfriend, you name it. There's nothing hidden. And out of that phone alone, they can get much, much more. And then they many a times involve people in your area. It could be domestic workers, security guards, even policemen. But these high-profile kidnappings go down with extreme precision, leaving absolutely no evidence behind. And once they have that a person, they know exactly what you can pay, and they will go for an amount that you can pay, and they will make sure that you do pay it. So there's other levels of kidnapping. We cannot go into that now, but it's on a much lower level, and those are committed much more. They are day in, day out. Take a guy, for instance, if they want to extort money out of him by just taking him to ATMs and drawing money, that's kidnapping. And there's other levels as well. I can just quickly mention, when a child is not brought back to his house, the wife or the husband may lay a charge of kidnapping. Or if a person is held and somebody else goes with his card out to draw all his money, that's kidnapping. And then there's kidnappings where if somebody is owed money and they don't pay the money, then they take either the dog or somebody in the family and have them pay the money. It's gone to a whole new different level. We get kidnappings where animals have been kidnapped and held for ransom. It's the mystery of iniquity. But the authorities are seeing this, and the reason why they've taken this, and they should take all crimes that serious, all levels of crime, but this one they've taken extremely serious because they all lived themselves in the situation that, look, there's 4 kids taken here, and what if this has happened to one of my family members or one of my kids?
Yeah. And then on that note, Mike, I don't know whether should we overlook foul play in this case, because somehow it sounds a bit bizarre. But then coming to kidnappings, A Lenasia businessman was allegedly kidnapped by 4 unknown men. That was at 5 a.m. yesterday morning as he was returning from morning prayers from a mosque. That's in extension 1. I'm just coming through, bringing this, just adding to your statement about this high level of kidnapping. Now, this is according to eyewitness. It was a silver Mercedes-Benz that pulled up next to the victim. Then they forced him into the vehicle and drove off towards the R558 Annadale Orange Farm direction. So this it's quite a pandemic on itself in this country. And my worry is that, is it overwhelming to the subs?
It is, but that's why this unit has included policemen all over the country. This is a national task unit, and it will involve the normal stations as well. Kidnappings has come to the attention of every policeman now, and the instructions was already given to all police stations that the kidnapping cases must be centralized and sent to this highly specialized unit. And then obviously the public is also very aware, and they're also learning from all these interviews, and that's why I'm warning about stuff like cybercrime. Do not drive at night. Don't always drive the same routes. If you are very rich, if you can afford, arrange a bodyguard. Make sure your family is safe. Remember, the kidnappers will also listen to what I say here and what everybody is saying and what's going on, and they will monitor the police and the authorities, and they will adapt. So they might change their tactics. They might take a different family member, or they might take kids again. Whichever way, we must understand that kidnappings and all other crimes in South Africa is rampant, and it's escalating. It's not getting less. But we as a nation together must look past all our differences, whether it's color, religion, political affiliations, and look at crime as the common goal to identify it, to solve it, and to eradicate it, and to prevent it. Unless we do that, all working together, whether you a screw in the engine or the block of the engine or just the window wiper, you need to be part of this whole machine, then the car will drive properly. If you take certain parts out, the car is not complete and it won't drive properly. You can also not put diesel in a petrol engine. Yeah. So we need to, as a country, work together and look past everything else, and each give our effort and our bit that we can assist, even if it's how small, in order to support the authorities, in order to deal with kidnappers and syndicates, to prevent it. And unless that's done, Eliphas, I'm telling you that the criminals will have a joyous season and years up ahead of them, because they will commit this crime because they can get away with it. And that is my concern. I also want to just mention that kidnappings is usually not turning into where somebody is killed, like in the Zain Khan case. This very seldom happens. And then there's usually something else to it. It's then more than a kidnapping. There could be other things. I don't want to let myself out there because we might be appointed there to do that investigation. But usually kidnappings are solved and sorted amongst the families and the kidnappers, but not necessarily solved and sorted by the police, because of for the main reason, like in the Moti case, where there's non-cooperation, then it can't be solved. Look, if these people do not come forward and assist, this case will absolutely go nowhere. It will be a tough, and it will be a tough between the police and the Moti family. There will be a fight amongst those instead of a fight amongst the criminals, against the criminals.
Absolutely. Now, Mike, this is actually not an interview. I call it an educational class. The way you are saying this, I get to learn a lot, and I see. Even when I open my WhatsApp here, listeners are just saying, "Wow, what an information!" Big thanks to Mr. Bolhuis for really enriching us with this knowledge. We are going to be now mindful and be aware of these incidences that happens. And well, it's all thanks to you, Mike. And the other thing again is that I just want you to give us the latest development with regards to some updates actually with regards to Mr. Len Klute, who was shot by police at a lodge in Muldersdrift. That was in November 2021 during an altercation there. What do we know? What's the latest with regards to Mr. Klute?
All right. Let me, before I go to Len, just say thank you to the public. Thank you very, very much. And may you all have a blessed 2022. May God bless you guys all richly with health and wealth, safety, prosperity, insight, wisdom, discernment, and may God be gracious and merciful upon us. And may God put his hand over all of us and protect us and assist us to identify, resolve, solve, and prevent crime. I have to say that the listeners must be very, very careful about the following things. Do not drive at night unless you have to. Do not splash anything about your personal life on social media, ever. Go now after this interview and clean your phone. Use your phone for calls, and whatever you have done on your phone, put it off at night, delete it, clean it, and never leave your phone by anybody or in a restaurant or when you go out or somewhere. Always make sure you've got several passwords. Always treat your phone as if it can be penetrated and information theft could be committed or being hacked or cloned. You know, there are devices and there are technology today that can hack with the press of a button or by the pass or by the tap of a phone. You need to be very, very careful with your cell phone, especially if it's a smartphone. So do not have any information on your phone that if you lose it, you break down in tears and saying, I have now lost all and the most important of my information and I am lost and totally without it. If you have that attitude, you've had too much on your phone. Rather take it off, just use the phone as a communication tool and store your information in a safe place. And then lastly, be very careful of just constantly wanting to say something on social media. You identify yourself. Do not just react. Do not just want to say any and everything about politics, anything and everything about religion, any and everything about color, any and everything about political affiliation. Because once again, if you lose that phone and a person or a criminal goes through it, he can clearly see who and what you are exactly and where and what you stand for. You must be careful for social media. It can lure you in. You can get addicted. You become an internet junkie, and you'll catch yourself eventually just playing video games and constantly, and I want to say the word here, talking shit and sending shit left, right, and center on your phone. Be careful. Be responsible. Think twice before you send something, and ask yourself always, if you have any information that you are posting or sending out, that it is to the benefit of yourself and to others. That's the way you should treat your phone, and then be aware wherever you are. Don't just drive through town. Don't just do this. Have your eyes and ears always open and see if you can see or identify crime or see anything suspicious. And then fourthly, work with authorities and with the authorities of the police and other authorities in order to, when you've identified something or something suspicious, that you can assist and make a difference. And always cooperate with the police, and always remember there's avenues you can follow if you do not trust the police. When all else fails, Elifas, the people can call us, we will advise. Regarding Len Klute is not up and about, but he is moving a bit on the one side, he has feeling on the other side. His eyes are open. He recognizes his wife. He kisses his wife. They communicate by eye batting. So he does understand, but this road to recovery will take some time. The doctors are hopeful. He is getting better every day. The family are obviously very thankful. And we at this point also want to say we thank the public for their support, their prayers. And the public have been very, very helpful and supportive, and that's meant a lot to the family. But on the other hand, there's been the other social media jokes and the social media irresponsible and stupid stuff that has been sent left, right, and center about Len Klute, and we've tried to deal with that, but you'll never stop that.
Yeah.
We call it skinner and kakpraat. In English, that would mean you just constantly you can't wait to just say something stupid and rubbish about people.
Yeah.
It's very bad. Pertaining the police case, it's the police cases are done, but it's still in a process. The police have done their thorough investigation, the Milderdrift police station. We have done our thorough investigation of the incident, and the IPIT unit of the police has done their investigation on the police regarding this incident. These three, we work hand in hand with the police. There's no agendas, there's no attitudes, everything is 100% hunky-dory. We're operating together. We know that the man has been shot here. He fought for his life. He's now made it. We're going to try and get him better as quickly as possible, and then get his account of events and his statements, and then it will go as a combined docket to the authorities as prosecution and judges, and they'll make the final decision, and obviously we will inform the public. And this is how this works. So IPIT does a thorough, in-depth investigation of everything the police has done at the Len Klute shooting incident. We have done a thorough, complete, in-depth investigation into the incident that has happened at Milderdrift and the police's involvement there. And the police, the normal Milderdrift police station, have done their investigation into the incident of the shooting of Len Klute, and those will be combined. And as I've said, that process must still be completed once Len has given his statements.
Absolutely. Mike, I'd really like to thank you so much for this in-depth and thorough intakes about the issues that we really asked you to assist us with here on Radio Jeem. I really appreciate your time, Mike, and take care. We will upload the podcast of this conversation on our website. Of course, we should be sending it straight to you, Mike, as well, and as a token of appreciation for always being available to speak to us. Thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Eliphas. Greetings, everybody. All of the best.
Very big thank you indeed. That was our guest, Mr. Mike Bolhuis, specialist investigator into serious violent and serious economic crimes. Started talking about the Moti brothers and the relocation to Dubai and ending up with Len Klute. I would like to say thank you so much as well to everyone who really sent their messages in terms of thanking the input and the knowledge that Mr. Mike Bolhuis has with regards to these very, very special issues of kidnappings and the tips there. It's very important to actually listen to the tips that he's given us. Everyone should really take care and take cognizance of what Mr. Bolhuis has said.